Welcome back to Ox Tools. I'm Tom. So we've been working on the Brown Sharpe Micromaster, and it's a little bit like gift wrapping an elephant. What we're working on is the flood coolant guards for the grinding area here. So let's take a look at some of the construction highlights of this and some of the design considerations that went into this. All right, this is the Brown Sharpe 618 Micromaster, the elephant that we're trying to gift wrap. Once again, the goal is to produce some guards that will work for flood coolant. Okay, and Robin Rossetti and I have been talking about this for a while because he's got to do the same thing for his new hot whammy Mitsui grinder. Anyway, I got to get a leg up on him here somewhere and finish something. But he's going gangbusters. But anyway, I've been working on the guards for this, and I just want to show you some of the design details and some of the direction that I'm going in. Originally, it was going to be all sheet metal, and I changed that plan considerably, and I'll show you what the current plan is. I'm pretty far along. I was doing a job at work, and we were using a larger version of this extrusion for something, and then I just kind of had an epiphany. I said, oh my god, look, it's already got a slot in it. Duh. I mean, that's what it's for. But this smaller size, it happens to fit 1/4-inch material really well, okay? And there's very little play in there, but it still slides freely. So I kind of rethought the whole guard idea and based it on this 80/20 extrusion. Now, Micromaster Car sells this, and that's where this came from. They don't actually sell this profile here, and this is a slightly different profile that's rounded on the corner. And I opted to use those on these corners here because it mimics this curvature here. Squared just kind of looks gruesome there. So anyway, I used the 999 trick for ordering with Micromaster and just told them what I wanted different. And this came, it took about a week and a half to almost 2 weeks to get this. And but the price was 31 cents an inch or something like that, which is pretty cheap. And anyway, it's just what I wanted, right? So let's take a look at this here. So the coolant blows this way, so this is the side that needs to be really good. This side on the right side is important, and that has to do with the wheel rotation for folks that haven't run surface grinders, for their benefit. There's a couple requirements. This goes up and down, and then this shuttles back and forth, right? So we got to have enough. Okay, so that's the end stop there, and you got to have an ability to change the height of the rear portion here, and that's the part that Robin and I were kind of going back and forth on. He's got what I would call a typical Robin solution to it. It's very slick, but for me it's a lot of work, and I'm much lazier than Robin, so I think I found what I would call a minimum work solution. So let's zoom in a little bit here, and I'll show you some of the cool features. So this is the first tricky part here. So like I said, the coolant kind of blows in this direction here, and it's going to hit this edge along here. And what we want is we want to get the coolant on this side, because there's a physical drain behind here. Then it goes back into the return system and can be filtered and then repumped up to the nozzle here, right? So I made some mock-up pieces here. Let's just take a look at them, and I'll show you them on the other side. So this is, it's probably blowing out the camera there. So you can see it's got some notching on it, right? And actually I'm going to show you on the other side because it's actually even better. But it actually sits on that edge, and we get a little overlap there. So I'm going to pop over to the other side, and we'll look at it on the other side because it'll sit. And then the individual sections, or the vertical sections, are rabbeted so that there's no direct path through for coolant, and anything that hits this side just runs down and it gets caught. So let's go look at the other side here. Okay, and this is the right hand side of the grinder, and then this is the lower piece, and like I said, it's notched, and it's short, so you can, anyway, it drops in like that. And then the next piece is rabbeted so that it actually kind of comes in and sits down on top of that, right? Okay. And then in these panels here, there's individual pieces, and we'll kind of scope out all those and look at it. So let me insert all the panels, and then you'll get a sense of the scale of this thing, and then we'll talk about some of the next steps and design details that we got to work out. Okay, so here is a different angle here, and you know this all the goop's going to spray into there, drain down, and then go back and get returned. Originally, I had these as this white starboard, and this is it's a polypropylene or polyethylene. I don't remember which now. Anyway, it's used in the decks of boats and things like that. It's pretty chemical resistant. It's cheap and it cuts like cream cheese, and Tap Plastics has it. So they don't have a lot of the gray, so I ordered a chunk off of eBay and from a guy in Florida who does boats, and it's called Dolphin Gray, and it matches. My color consultant wife said, "Oh my God, that white is so harsh," because I had all these panels in white, and then I went and rebought all the plastic and cut it, and now it kind of it recedes in the in your view. You know, white comes forward, and neutral colors kind of go to the back of your vision. So, but anyway, let's see, I forgot what I was going to say now. So in the front here, this kind of opening here is a kind of a drip tray. There'll be a stainless drip tray here, so you're grinding a part, and you'll be able to set it here. This is kind of the cross section of that, and I just bent a little strip to kind of check sizes, and then the other thing it has to clear is it has to clear this handle. I need to be able to operate the magnet unimpeded. So there'll be a stainless steel sheet metal tray, which we'll make as part of this video series, and it'll kind of have this profile, and that will drain any coolant into there, and this will be attached to this vertical column here. So anyway, that's what that little piece is about there. So let's look at some design aesthetics here. All right, this is a side view of the machine here, and there's what I would call some design cues looking at this side here. Actually, it's harder to see here, but we have this little kind of radius and slope here. We've got a radius with a slope here, a radius here. So it's kind of given us some design cues what might be useful for kind of making this look better here. So what I did was I put some tape on the front so I could do some kind of conceptual sketching. And I will tell you that this is something that's really hard to do on the computer. And a lot of times it's better in context to do some of this stuff kind of on the machine or in context to what it has to match up with. It's sometimes extremely difficult to do this kind of stuff on the computer, and so that's why really high-end designers get the big bucks, because they got a good eye for that. But let's see what we can do on the front here. All right, first thing I'm going to do is this had a slope on it here, and I think I want to just pull that angle off of here and kind of capture that same angle. And you know, it's not an exact thing. It's just once again that we're talking about kind of aesthetic things here. Yeah, that should be good. Aesthetic things that will make this look better here. And I put tape on here. That way, it's easy to kind of erase and change and tweak here. So first thing is looking at this here. I think. You know, you could just clip this off straight off like this, and that would help a lot, right? Just removing that big chunk there. But we have an opportunity to nibble away at this and try a couple of things before we get to a straight angle. So what I'm going to start with, I think, is I'm just going to say that this is my termination point here, where that goes in like that, right? Where it intersects in here, and let's just put a reference line on there like that, okay? Okay, so just visualize that now removed, right? And what that does is it takes away that vertical edge, right? So it doesn't attract your eye as much. But I still think we can do better than that. So let's go, into a radius like that, right? Something like that. So yeah, that could work, and that kind of goes with the what I showed you in the back of the machine, right? So what do I have? I need something with a. Okay, I think that's too small. And then, how about this? Okay, that's more like it. So maybe let's look at a so we'll be tangent here and tangent here. And we'll just kind of scope that out. Okay, all right. That's not bad. I like this a little bit better, I think. That's a little too small. I think we're going to go larger. So let me see what I got around here that I can mark that with. Okay, now we're talking here. I think that's what I want. The old garbage can radius. Oop, shit. Oh yeah, that's better. Let me mark that a little bit better. So this is a soft pencil on here, and we can erase this pretty easy. Okay. So let's get our template. All right, what do you guys think? I kind of like the big one, I think. I like that big one. So we'd come out, go into this radius, and then go into our angle, and then end right there. And you can kind of get a feel for that being removed. And it really won't affect the performance of the guards. It really, this kind of back corner, the back edge and this back side really take the brunt of all the coolant that goes in there. So, okay, all right. So let's do that. Now let's take a look at the right-hand guard, which it's a little narrower, so it may not tolerate such a large radius. So we'll scope that one out. So you can see some of the challenges here. This panel is narrower here, right? And there's this kind of stepping down of heights. This is the kind of the tallest area. This needs to be this high to support these panels here, right? But this really doesn't need to be this high, but if I just truncate it there, it's going to look funky. So a blend from this elevation down to this elevation sort of makes sense, right? And this one goes in here like that. So we're going boom, and then I need to see here. So yeah, I want to kind of cover that, come back up. So you can see some of the trickiness here that we're trying to sort. And I don't know, maybe I'm being Mr. Fussy Pants about it, but it's my grinder, right? I can fuss on whatever I want, right? So we're going to use that same angle, I think, in this case, because it actually makes sense. And then here, let's see, can you see? Oh, you can just barely see this here. We got a radius into an angle here, and that was the other thing I was looking at for a kind of a design cue. Now, this one won't tolerate L garbage can here, I don't think here. Yeah, I think that's too big. Yeah, that's my sense. Let's use this. I don't build engines, so this is probably a really good use for this thing. All right, yeah. So this we can get a tangent, and we're not truncating the arc. And what I mean by that is we're catching the center line. We have the center line on our piece here, which generally looks a little bit better, I think, in this thing here. So that looks pretty close. And I'm just gonna bandsaw these, and then we'll clean up those edges. Oh yeah, okay, I think that works. So I can always go a little bit bigger too if I don't like the look of it. But I think I'm ready to trim these. Let's trim these and see what they look like, and then we can argue about whether they look okay or not. I'm just using a little block plane here to take those bandsaw marks out of there. And it's just set for a really light cut. And this stuff is like cream cheese here, as the saying goes. Planing around a curve. I'm sure I'm doing this wrong. Woodworker guys are rolling over in their piles of sawdust, horrified at the abuse I'm showing this little plane here. All right. Okay. This it doesn't. This super shear file works pretty good on it. But you can't really sand it or do much with it with any kind of, quote unquote abrasive process. You kind of need to cut it. So, all right. So we're milling the edge of these long starboard strips. This is a polyethylene plastic used on boats. It's got a textured finish on it. It's kind of nice. It doesn't show scratches. Machine's literally like cream cheese. Get a little holding fixture here. This is a little different thing. It's kind of has an I-beam cross section. Okay, so basically it's a big bar stock that's been pocketed out on both sides, and this allows me to reach in with clamps on either side depending on what I want to do, and it clamps up in the vise real nice. I got some little edge stops here, so I'll just go ahead and put one piece up. And I'll start it at the end using my cant twists. Okay, and it's just tall enough that I can get these under there, like so. Now, this strip is longer than the travel of the machine. So let me double check, make sure I can dispose of that. Okay, so I'm up against the stops real nice. Actually, I'm going to balance the clamps a little bit better. So I'll only make it to here with the cutter. And then what I'll do is I'll shuttle it down and then finish the cut. So let's go ahead and start this. I'm all set up. I've already done one. So okay. Bob's your uncle. And I'll shuttle this down like so. One more. Probably right there is probably fine. Make sure I'm against the stops. And then push down. And rinse and repeat. Like so. Actually, I think I'll put that one on there. Alright, and then what I want to do here, I'm going to fire it up. Get close to my my Y number. This gives me a good blend here, on the cut. Get within a few thousandths started, and then finish off the Y. So it kind of ramps in a little bit, so you don't get a
You don't get a big fat bozo step on the other side.